Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce Hutchin.
Whitetail Rendezvous is pleased to announce a partnership with GoHunt.com. Who's GoHunt.com? Well, if you're a DIY hunter, you need the information at GoHunt.com/insider. Why? Because it provides 4,200 profiles, every unit, every species, and every season. Furthermore, they give in-depth analysis, interactive maps, unit access, and seasonal trends. Draws are very important, and they give you the most accurate information in the business. All this is available when you go to GoHunt.com/insider. Make sure you use promo code WR when you join Insider. You'll get a $50 gift card for GoHunt.com Gear Shop. Remember, when you become a member of GoHunt.com/insider, you're going to get a $50 gift card to Go Hunt Gear Shop. What's in the gear shop? The best gear that you can buy for hunting the West. All in all, if you're hunting out West in 2018, GoHunt.com/insider is where you need to be to get all the research information. When you use promo code WR, Whitetail Rendezvous receives a small commission from GoHunt.com. Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. We're going to head north of the border up to Manitoba, Canada, and Jason Dyck. Now, Jason is the outfitter and the owner of Extreme Outdoor Guide. Is that right, Jason?
That's right. Extreme Outdoor Guides. Yep.
And so Jason and I got together because I'm very interested in bringing you, my listeners, whitetail hunters for the most part, that always dream of going on a big game trip. And let's not limit Jason just to Canada and the Canadian Rockies, but let's say that he's been to Africa and Kyrgyzstan and pretty much wherever he wants to go and check out where the good hunting is before he takes his clients. So I've asked Jason to be on the show and share with us what a big game guide thinks about who travels the globe and what type of clients make the best hunters. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Bruce.
You're welcome. What's the temperature up there today?
Today it's not too bad. I think it's around minus 25, 26. I guess that would be Fahrenheit.
Yeah, that's chilly, folks, because I know we woke up here in Colorado about 5 degrees. And so you get below 20 it's a bit chilly. So you have to dress warmly. Jason, when you think about, hunting in Canada, let's say right with Canada, what advice would you give to my listeners who always dream about heading up to the Canadian Rockies and hunting big game? What do they need to bring with them?
What do you need to bring with you? Well, I mean, you're going to have to bring all your gear. I mean, depending on what kind of animal you're hunting, whether it's sheep, goat, grizzly, moose, black bear, I mean, all of it's got different kinds of equipment you're going to use. If you're on a baited hunt or if you're on a spot and stalk hunt, things are going to be different. But one of the things I think that and we were kind of briefly talking about it, but one of the most important thing to bring is the proper attitude. You got to have a mental strength on a lot of these hunts, especially when you're doing those big sheep hunts and whatnot, or those long day hunts. It's being able to wake up in the morning with that same drive on the 7th day of your hunt that you did on the first day of your hunt. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. So, you got to bring your A game. You got to be in good condition. You got to be mentally ready. And, you get everything, all those right ingredients in there. And it's just going to make your hunt a lot more successful,
Now, how much vertical is a guy going to do, say he's on a sheep hunt? Vertical each day.
How many vertical feet are you going to climb in a day, you mean? Well, when I was a young guide, when I was a young mountain guide, I would do thousands of feet in a day. As I've gotten older, I've gotten a little more wiser, and I've also realized that my clients who are typically, a little on the middle-aged side, and they're not as young as me and can't climb as much as I do. So, now the way I do it is I look more, I'll look for animals and have a reason to climb. So instead of just running up and checking, the top of every mountain. So, a couple thousand feet in a day, 3,000 feet in a day. But it really depends if you're hunting backpack hunts or if you're doing horseback hunts, for these big sheep hunts. With the horses, you're able to get into a lot of sheep country where you can close the distance, and it depends on what kind of sheep you're hunting. If it's stone sheep or a dull sheep, for example, or bighorn sheep, these sheep all live in different kind of elements and whatnot. So you can get pretty close to sheep with a horse and only have to maybe climb 1,000 feet, if that. Sometimes 500. I mean, I've had it where I've gotten above the sheep with horses. So for those guys who think they're too out of shape or getting too old, it can be done.
When you think about a sheep hunt today, now are you hunting stone sheep or dull sheep?
Either or, right? Stones, dulls. Like are you asking like what I would with the horses or?
No, just, if you're hunting, I'm trying to figure out, okay, if somebody says, hey, I want to go hunt a dull, what's that going to cost them?
Oh, the average dull sheep hunt's probably around the $20,000 to $25,000 mark. But it's just like whitetail hunting down south. You get what you pay for. So the better outfitters are going to be a little more money. The newer outfitters, maybe the guys who have maybe the higher success rates might be a little less. You might get them for 15 to 18,000 even. But a typical good reputable outfitter, you're looking around the 22 to 25,000.
And is that the same for stone, or are they more expensive?
No, stones are more money. Stones go anywhere from 33,000 all the way up to 50,000. So again, it depends on the outfitter you're going with and the reputation that outfitter has and the success rates on big sheep that he has, right?
Now, I'm sitting in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I'm going, holy fright, $25,000 to $50,000. That's the price of a new Ford and a new Chevy. Is it possible for a guy, like myself back in the day? I had a job, I had a wife, I had a couple of kids, and I always said, boy, I'd sure like to do that. Go sheep hunting. At $1,000 save, put aside a year, that's 20 years or more.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, it's hunting is definitely turned into a little bit more of a rich man's sport, it seems like, unfortunately. But some of these hunts are really expensive. And, I have clients who book hunts with me that will be 3, 4, 5 years down the road. And it's not because I'm sold out and that's the only dates I have available. That's also because guys say, hey, can I, set up a payment plan? And they're able to pay it off, over that time. So it's not a big lump sum chunk of money at one time. You know what I mean? So yeah, these hunts get really, really expensive. And you want to do your homework, right? I mean, you don't want to be going with the wrong outfitter, spending all that money and just having a terrible time. So it's important to do your homework on that for sure.
Yeah, that would be a real cold shower if you get to camp and something ain't right. When you put, the price of like I said, a Ford Pickett down.
That's right.
What can a person do if that ever happens? Is there any, recourse at all?
Yeah, you mean if a guy goes into a camp and has a really bad experience,
right.
Bad camp? Yeah, I mean, there's things that can be done. I mean, you can contact the local. If for example, if you're in Alberta, you could get a hold of APOS, which is the Alberta Professional Outfitter Society. You can make a formal complaint about the outfitter. Now, it would have to be something legit, right? It couldn't be, well, that outfitter had foul language, or he didn't shower, anything like that. But if you showed up at a camp and he advertised, you're going to do a hunt using boats, for example, and you get to that camp and there's boats there, but they're leaking water and the motors don't work, and you've lost 4 or 5 days of hunting because the motors didn't work and they had to wait to fly them in, and the outfitter didn't want to fly them in right then because it cost too much money or something. Whatever the excuse may be, something like that would be a bad deal, and you're paying for a good hunt. I mean, you're paying for an outfitter to give you his best foot forward, give you the best opportunity at an animal on a hunt. And if he doesn't provide that, you can definitely make complaints. You can definitely do things about it. Some of these outfitters will have legit problems arise. It does. It happens everywhere you go. I mean, in life in general. So things will happen. Equipment will break down. Horses will get lame. They will die. Things happen. And if it's something that the outfitter, if a good outfitter sees that, this is an unfortunate situation, they'll correct it themselves and say, look, why don't you come back next year? We'll do it all over. And this is what a good outfitter would do, Well, you can definitely make those complaints. You don't just take it. If you buy an expensive hunt or even a $2,000 hunt, the outfitter didn't do his job, didn't provide you with an honest representation of his business, definitely do something about it. Complain. Make note of it.
One thing I'd like to say, you touched on it briefly, is so you go and you travel from, Wisconsin to Colorado. You don't have to go north of the border, but you get out there and a snowstorm hits. Well, you make the best of it. All of a sudden you have a flat tire. There's a forest fire. I mean, there's a gazillion things that can happen when you're in the outfitter's camp. And I think you said it well. The outfitter's going to do everything as possible so you have a good hunt. Why? Because you tell 5 people, they're going to tell 10 people that Smith's outfitting sucked, and here's why. Well, that's going to cost him business. He understands that.
Absolutely. A good outfitter always relies on reputation. Myself, for my business, what I do, I do, like, for example, I do mobile camps. So I have tent camp hunts for big moose in Canada here. And I use Zodiac boats. I make my camp very movable, very portable, so that I can go to where the animals are. I'm not just going to set up on one lake and tell all my clients, you're all going to be hunting out of this lake, and that's it. I'm going to go in ahead of season. I'm going to pre-scout it. I know that there's 2 or 3 good bulls there. I'll bring in 2 or 3 good, clients in. We'll hunt for those bulls. Once I know I've exhausted the area, and it's just no more, pack up, fly to another lake, another area where I know there's bulls. That's what a good outfitter does. He keeps moving and keeps bringing you to those areas where those animals are. He's not saying, well, I got his money. He's coming anyway. I'm just, we'll make it like we're doing our best. You can see moose scat. You can see or bear scat all over, and you can see the footprints, and you can see, moose sign everywhere, and just go, well, I don't know what happened. That's a bad excuse. You got to put your every effort in. And because that's the way we do it, we've had such a high success rate on our hunts, and we do very well. I don't have to spend a ton of money on marketing and trying to sell my hunts. It sells itself. It's word of mouth from clients. And one bad experience, 1,000 people will know about it. You got to have 1,000 good experiences for one person to know about it. Unfortunately, in this business, right? So, yeah, always give her all you got.
And that's even more true with social media, because just say you had a bad hunt, by the time you get back to the airport or however you're getting home, as soon as you get Wi-Fi, you're telling your buddies, I can't believe it. I just blah, 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 blah. And so, people know about it instantaneous, it's just.
You can't hide nothing. You can't hide nothing nowadays. It's you mess up and you really screw up a client's hunt. You'll know it. You'll know it. You'll see it in numbers. You're going to start losing clients, and you're going to hurt. You're not going to be an outfitter for very long. Not if you're going to play that game.
Hey, let's talk about the rifle or the bow. What caliber do you prefer people coming to your camps with?
Well, I mean, at my camps, we're doing moose hunts mostly, and we combo them with black bear and wolf. But when I'm bringing guys into my moose hunts, I typically tell guys try to bring in around that 300 mark. The 300 caliber has always been one of my favorites. My favorite rifle that I use, the 300 short mag, Kimber, Montana. Matter of fact, I love the gun so much I even named my daughter Kimber, Montana. But the 300 caliber is definitely the one that I like the best. It's very versatile.
A guy told me a long time ago, bring the gun that you can shoot the best. Now, 243, I don't think I'm going to go hunting for moose or bear in Canada with. 30-06, I might. 338, no question. I'll go any place with that sucker, in North America. So a lot of guys, get the buzz. Oh, I'm going to Canada. I'm going out west. I got to buy a new rifle. Sometimes I don't think that's the smartest thing to do.
No, No. You got to bring your A game, and your A game is with experience, right? So if you've got a rifle that the caliper is big enough for moose, even if it's a 30-06, right? You have the utmost confidence in a gun. I would rather have a guy come with a gun that's maybe just slightly underpowered, but he's an absolute good shot with it. So the shot placement is, absolutely important. So would I want him to be able to hit the target at 100 yards or at 200 yards precisely over saying, well, here's a 338 and just smack them anywhere? I'd rather take the lower caliber with the more precise shot, right?
What about rifle scopes? What magnification?
Magnification. Well, most of my guns are outfitted with Zeiss scopes, and I use the 2.5 to 10 power. I like the 2.5 to 10 because I can still see a fair distance, and yet I can have, the objective, or my field or my zoom is a lot lower at 2.5. So if I've got a bear that all of a sudden runs in at me, or a client, they can still see it, at 20 yards or something. If you got your scope, too high powered, like a lot of guys tend to do. And a lot of guys on those sheep hunts will do that. They'll come in there with that 4 to 20 power type stuff, and man, all of a sudden they got a grizzly bear standing at 15 yards. They can't get him in the scope. They can't find him quick enough. So I like 2.5 to 10 power. That's one of my favorites. But as a guide, I don't use a scope. That's for my clients. But I use open sights for when I'm guiding. But
for your backup gun, you just have open sights.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I'm not there. I'm there for backup. I mean, I'm the guide. I tell you, what to shoot and stuff, and we tend to not make long shots. We try not to. But I'd like to have my 45-70, 430 grain, little stopping power. You got those bears that are coming in and they're a little pissed off, So I like to be able to stop them.
That's funny. Anyway, so when, a lot of people don't use open sights. Back in the day, my first rifle was a 30-30 with open sights. I mean, it didn't have a scope on it. And it's a little bit different, but you can acquire the animal so much faster, with the open sights.
Absolutely. And you're not straight focused on one particular animal. I've had many a times when I've come up on black bears or grizzly bears where there's 2 or 3 of them together. And with a scope, you're staring straight ahead of you. You're staring into that little tube, and you're not really concentrating on what's on your left side or what's on your right side. With that open sight, your peripheral vision is still there. You can still see everything that's kind of going on, and you can acquire, your target way faster. So when you've got a grizzly bear that stands up or a black bear in willows in front of you at 20 yards, and he decides he's coming to charge, I mean, he's on you in 3-4 seconds. So you got to get that gun up. I'd hate to be in the bush at that point with my scope sitting on 4 or 5 power. I mean, good luck. I mean, you're just seeing hair instead of body parts.
Thanks a lot for that. Kind of a gruesome picture, that's for sure. Body part. Oh, folks. So I book with you. We talk about the rifle. I got to be in shape mentally and physically. What are the things you want somebody to bring to your camp?
What do I want them to bring to my camp?
Yeah, and not gear, but just, some people, for instance, some people aren't very happy. I mean, they should be, but they're not happy in life. Or some people are just off the wall and they bring a case of Jack Daniels. They wouldn't bring that much if they floated, but you know what I mean. And they imbibe, every single night. You have to kick them out of their bed at 4:00.
Well, I mean, let's face it. A hunting trip is a vacation, right? Guys are taking booking time off work, or they're going on these hunts. So most hunters that I've had experienced over the last 28 years of doing this, they're coming into camps excited and they're happy to be there. Yes, you're always going to have that one client. It's that one client that's going to be miserable and nothing you can do to make that guy happy. But you come into camp with an open mind, because as much as we're going to explain to you what to expect on that hunt, things change and we can't stop that. So just come into camp with an open mind. You're already going to be excited to be there. I mean, you just gotta I think we talked about it before too, or another time, that, having a client with the right attitude, you come into camp, if you can be just as excited to get up in the morning and go do your hunt on the seventh or eighth day, even the last day of your hunt that you're chasing after that animal that you're going after, if you can be just as excited on that day as you were on the first day, things will be fine. You got to keep that positive attitude. Too many clients after 2 or 3 days, they get, man, I'm not seeing nothing. Like, what's going on? Like, this isn't working. And they start getting frustrated. When you start getting frustrated, your energy seems to be focused on that. And I definitely notice clients will not be able to keep up with walking anymore. They're not eating properly now because their mind is all messed up. And you just got to stay positive and trust your guide. I mean, if you did your homework and you found the right guide, every opportunity is going to be there for you. You just got to stick with it. And I tell every one of my clients, your best day of hunting is always your last day. It's not your first day, because if you've hunted on a 10-day moose hunt, if, God forbid that it's going to take us 10 days to get that moose, we've eliminated 9 days of bad areas. So on that last day, we're already, we know we've zeroed in on that animal. So we've eliminated the bad spots. So just staying positive is a huge, huge thing. Plus, if you're coming into camp and you're in a good mood and you're happy and you're cheery and you're not complaining, obviously you're going to have a lot happier guide and outfitter, and that happy guide and outfitter will work that much harder for you, knowing that he's got a great guy that's there and he's staying positive and everything. But I mean, if you wake up in the morning and start yelling at your guide, is that guide really going to want to bust his butt for you? You know what I mean? To make your dream come true. So coming in with a good attitude is really a big thing, I think.
What's the one thing that you use to gauge a hunter right when he comes off the plane, out of the boat, off the train, however he gets to your camp? You size him up really quick. Why? Because you've seen thousands of people. You already know, basically how they walk, what they're doing, and everything. So what's your one trick that helps you decide on which guide he's going with, but what type of hunter he is?
Okay, I get you on that one. So I get, on my flying hunts, I get guys get off the plane. So when they get off the airplane, I never tell my guides who's going to be guiding who. And as you hit a good question there, because I can tell when that guy gets off the plane, if he's going to be that client that's going to want to just get up before everybody else, he's going to want to run out the door. He's going to want to spend the entire day out in the field, even when the time is not even good hunting. He's going to want to be out there. He's the guy who's going to be, full of piss and vinegar, so to speak, and just want to go, 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 go. Then you got the client that gets off the plane. No, sorry, I'll back that up a little bit. That's the client that gets off the plane and he grabs his gear and he runs to his tent and he's like, hey, where's my tent? Where am I staying? Or where's my cabin? And he's just all about getting his gear ready, and he's coming out and he's got his full camo on and his bow is there and his rifle's there and he's all pumped up. There's that client. Then there's the client who gets off the plane and stands there and watches the outfitter, or myself, the guide, and just starts to talk to him and joke around with him. And you can see that guy is maybe a little more relaxed and he's waiting for your direction and your instruction on what to do next. So he's waiting, he knows that he's put his money and his trust in you. And so he just lets you make the decisions. He waits for you to tell him what to do next. So I can tell already which guides, this guide has got a lot of patience, so that, we'll put him with the guy who's going to want to go, 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 go. Because you're going to have patience. Guys like that typically are a little more demanding. And so you got to have a guide that can handle that. And then you got the guide who is, or the guides who are maybe a little slower moving guides, but they're more knowledgeable and they don't make a move without knowing what they're doing first. They're not just go, go, go like we were talking earlier about climbing mountains, right? I mean, you don't just run up every mountain and go find a sheep. You go up that mountain knowing there's sheep up there, not just to go see if there's sheep up there. So it's the same concept. So I definitely choose my guides for my clients based on the way they react, very, very much so right when they get off the plane. I can tell. You can just see it. You got that guy who's smiling, or you got that guy who's like, man, I'm hungry. That's all he's worried about. It's you can tell. You can just tell. So,
and
but
listen, go ahead.
I've always had good clients, so I can't complain. 28 years I've had to remove one client from my camps. And wow, I think that's pretty darn good. And once. It happened one time. So, yeah, treat them the way you want to be treated, I guess.
Yeah, and the thing I would say to anybody listening who's going to go on one of these hunts, one, you got to do your homework. Two,
Absolutely.
once you pay the money, you're in the deal. When you pay the money, you're in the deal, and you got to be able to roll with it. I mean, if you've done all your homework, he's the right guy, Jason's the right guy, and you say, okay, Jason, I'm writing the check. So you're in the deal. And once you step off that plane, just be you. That's the biggest thing I can tell people. Don't try to be, if Jim Shockey's on the plane or Craig Boddington or Ron Spooner, it doesn't matter. If one of those guys are on a plane, you can't be them. You just have to be yourself. And
That's right.
that way you're going to have a better hunt. Why? Because just like Jason said, the good outfitter will match you with the guide. And they do it very subtly. You won't know it. All of a sudden, Jimmy Bruno's picking up your bag and saying, hey, Bruce, let's go grab a cup of coffee. Put your stuff in the tent or the cabin. Let's go grab a cup of coffee. And then the whole process will start because you're going to be, and as I like to say, my guide may have to save my life.
Absolutely.
Flat out. And so you have to have 100% trust. You can't second guess him. You can't do anything. If he says duck, you duck. If he says shoot, you shoot. That's the way it has to be. And if you have any other agenda or your ego's too big, park it at the plane. That's my 2 cents on that. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree 100%. There was something I was going to touch on there that you had mentioned. What was it? I'll come back to it, I guess. I can't remember what it was there, but clients have to, you have to trust your guide ultimately, and don't come into camp. Everybody wants to be that big hunter. I've killed this animal and I've done this and I've done that. You have to be honest with your guide. You have to be. If your ability is that you're only going to be able to walk 2 miles in a day, and that's the truth, you don't want to look bad in front of the other hunters in camp. Don't tell the guide then that, I can walk 5-6 miles all day long with a 60, 70, 80 pound pack on my back, because I'm going to match you up with a guide then that loves to take a 100-pound pack and he'll walk 12 miles that day. And if you can't keep up, you're ruining your own ability to hunt, because that guide might be, or me as the outfitter may say, Bruce, you said that you can walk, 7-8 miles today or any day with an 80-pound pack. I'm going to set you up with Josh here, one of my guides, and he knows where there's a big bull, there's an area, but it's probably about 9-10 miles away. So you're going to have to push yourself a bit. But really, Bruce, you could only probably walk 2 or 3 miles in a day. Well, you can see where the problem is now. How is my guide supposed to get you there if you end up having to quit halfway through? You would have been honest with him, or myself. I would have then put you with my guide, John, so to speak, who knows that there's a bull that's a mile away, or he's got the ability to pull bulls in right to the shoreline a lot easier. Maybe he's a better caller. So being honest with your guide and outfitter is extremely important, especially with your physical condition. I mean, that's going to make or break your hunt. If you can't, I always say, especially when it comes to mountain hunting, when I'm taking guys up for goat and sheep and so forth, for mountain caribou even, I always treat every client the same way, as in the fact that I think that they only have one opportunity to get up that mountain. Only one. Because 95% of my clients, usually they're only good for one good climb, right? So it doesn't matter if they tell me I can climb mountains all day long. I know from experience that's usually exaggerated. So I do it that I think they've got one good opportunity. So that's where we make sure that we're not going to climb every hill and walk for days and miles and hours. We're going to glass a lot. We're going to wait. We're going to find that perfect opportunity and then try and get you there one time to get it done. And that's what a good outfitter would do, I believe, as well. It's not, if you push your client too hard, you're just going to wear him out. He ain't going to be able to continue his hunt either. So, you got to be smart in it both ways. So definitely being honest with your guide and outfitters, to me, is very important. I mean, when I go on hunts, when I went to Kyrgyzstan, I was hunting like super high altitude and so forth. They asked me, and I told them, this is what I'm able to do. I just finished sheep guiding for 140 days. You want me to go climb 15, 16,000 feet for ibex? let's do it. No problem. I've been doing this now for months, so I'm in great shape. Now, if I hadn't been doing that, I'd tell them, well, I can do it, but it's going to be a little slower pace, right? So, yeah, being honest definitely makes your success rates a lot higher.
That's a good segue to Kyrgyzstan and Pakistan and Marco Polos and Ibex and Tur. Did I say it right?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and they're exotic and it's an expensive hunt, but a lot of people do it. Jason and I were talking about our mutual friend Brian Martin. I mean, he goes over there every year, and he's shown me pictures, where these guys are hunting, and you're in a stone shack, or that's the best way, stone hut. I think that's the best way to say it. And you're hunting, 16, 17, 18,000 feet.
Yep.
And pretty much, and they're gorgeous animals, but they have wolves over there, so they kind of skedaddle pretty quick.
They do,
so let's talk about that. Go ahead.
They're very skittish animals. They see any sense of danger, any kind of move. I mean, they booker for high country. But, I've seen ibex go from 15,000 feet to 18,000 feet in a blink of an eye and went, what? How am I? This is going to take me days to get up there. It's the altitude is high, the oxygen levels are low. You have all kinds of dangers. It's steep country. It's harsh country. You're middle of nowhere. I mean, you got to watch your step. You fall and break a leg. I mean, you're in bad country, right? So it's a challenging hunt going up there doing those ibex hunts and Marco Polo and so forth.
So why do people do it?
Well, I do it. I do it for the adventure. I mean, I'm an adventurist when it comes to hunting. I love seeing new countries, seeing new places, experiencing how other guides do it around the world, how they, their food, their culture. Shooting the animal is the bonus to me. I've been on hunts where I haven't killed an animal. Actually, I've been on one hunt where I never killed an animal. I guess I've been pretty lucky, but it's all for me. It's all about the adventure. It's all about the adventure. It's the experience.
Now, how is it in those rock huts at 15, 16,000 feet, sitting in a saddle?
Wet, damp.
Do you stay warm at all?
Yeah, they're pretty good. I mean, a lot of those places, they seem to, they'll heat it with coal. You don't have running water, so what they do is they make like a big hut, it'll be made of stone or whatnot, and they'll have like an old tank in there filled with water, and they'll have a fire going on the outside, and it's almost like building a sauna, and they call it a sweat shower. So it's really hot and humid in there, and the water's pouring off you. You're just sweating. So which is kind of cool. I mean, it's a great experience. But those guys work hard out there. I mean, they do. It seems like those guys will walk miles to find a stick and come back and light it, to keep you warm. So, but it's primitive, but it's cool. Great experience.
Now, some places have horses or whatever they call, donkeys or small horses, I guess.
Yep, absolutely.
Do you ride those?
Yes. They are small horses. They almost seem like a pony. The first time I got on one of them, I thought I was going to break it. And I'm not a very big guy. I'm 198 pounds ballpark. And I felt like I was way oversized for that horse. But those horses, I tell you what, they would probably destroy the horses we use up here in the mountains. And, when we're guiding up for sheep and stuff in BC or Yukon, they're just sure-footed, tough little buggers. I mean, they're fearless. They'll just go anywhere. You'll ride the edge of a cliff that's straight down. For sure if that horse slips, you're dead. There's no question about it. You're a dead man. So, and these horses just walk along as if it's just no big deal. It's just every day at work, no big deal. They're cool. They're tough.
Now, my thought, so you get your long glass, your Vortex Leica, Swarovski, pick your poison. How does that stay so it doesn't fog?
Well, good optics, I think. I mean, I good optics is definitely, they don't fog on you. I don't know. I've got covers. I put covers on mine over my eyepiece and over the front, the other end, like both ends. I cover mine up, but I've never really had much of a fogging issue. I have when I used to use cheaper optics, but once I switched over to the good stuff, I never really have that problem too much.
Yeah, because I'm thinking one, the altitude, to just the flat coldness, and sometimes clouds come in and all of a sudden, and I didn't know. I've never had any problem, with the optics I have. But I'm thinking, 15, 17. I've never been up. I've never hunted, that high. I've hunted 13,000 feet when I was sheep hunting.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you carry lens cloth with you. I mean, it's going to happen. They're going to get wet, and you're going to get kind of that, not fogging on the inside. I mean, the outside's going to be a little, sometimes you got to give it a quick wipe. So you always carry those little optics cleaners. I always have them attached to my vinyl case. Yeah, I mean, well, you wear glasses and I wear glasses. That's probably the biggest pain in the butt. When you're
it is.
Yeah, everything fogs up, right? You got the sweat coming up from underneath you and cold on the outside, and your glasses are all fogged up, and your trophy ram is standing there right in front of you, and you can't see a darn thing. One of the most frustrating things in the world.
That's true. Say, since this is a whitetail show, do you ever hunt whitetails? Do you ever guide for whitetails in Canada?
Absolutely, yeah. I guide whitetails, mule deer. Yep. We got fantastic whitetail and mule deer hunting in Canada. I live in Manitoba, but I guide for them out in Alberta area. So like the Peace River area, it's where I've done a lot of guiding for whitetails and muley. Alberta's always been known. Well, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba are always known. It's the three big provinces for big whitetails. And depending on what kind of whitetail you're looking for, is depending on what province you would go to. Saskatchewan's got those more of a spindly but wide and tall kind whitetails, whereas Alberta's got really heavy bases and heavy beams and non-typical kind of, a lot of stickers and points sticking out type whitetails. And then you come to Manitoba and you got a little bit of both. It almost seems like Manitoba should have been in between the other two provinces. It's a mix. We get a lot of everything, but we get a lot of non-typical whitetails as well. So Canada's got fantastic whitetail hunting. Absolutely.
And a lot of people, do go up there, especially my listeners. And so you guide in Manitoba and then Saskatchewan and Alberta?
No, I typically more just Alberta for the big whitetail muleys.
So, do you hunt them? Do you drive them? Do you just sit in the stand? How do you hunt them?
Well, there's several different ways. And it depends on the whitetail you're hunting, just like the guys do down south. I mean, every whitetail is different. Like you said, you put them on a big giant whitetail on a 40-acre piece. It can be hard to find. So we'll typically you spend a couple days, maybe driving around in a truck. Now, let's say you've got permissions on private land to hunt that combines, let's say, 15,000 acres. Which is typically what one guide should have, an area to hunt, so you can, have a big area. You'll drive around, you have the client with, and you'll spot the deer from the road. They'll be maybe across a field, so you'll stop, you'll see them, you get out, you glass them with your optic, binos or spotting scope. You get a feel for how the client wants, what he's looking for. Once you've established where those deer are, then a lot of times we'll move in on them. Now, if mule deer, will do it in the canola fields. We'll spot and stalk them, right? A lot of our mule deer hunts that I do is spot and stalk. So, we're using trucks to get around. We're not road hunting by any means, but we're covering ground. Find those deer. Where are they moving? Start to pattern them, and then we start to move in on them. If we know that a deer is moving from, let's say, one field to another field, or from a valley up into a field, and we're seeing them the same time all the time coming in, same time of day. Set up a stand or a box blind, and then get the client in there real early in the morning, or and then have them sit there all day if need be, if the deer is unpredictable. But there's several different really ways to do it. We use ATVs as well. Sometimes it's just strictly walking the valleys, looking, glassing all day. So it's like a spot and stalk type deal, all on foot. So several different ways to do it, and it's a good time. There's a lot of deer. You can see a lot of deer in a day.
What class of deer are you talking about? 140s, 150s, 160s, or what?
No, we try to, we always tell clients, unless you see a deer that to you is just a trophy, because to me, every animal that I've ever hunted, trophies in the eye of the beholder. If you pull the trigger, that means that's the animal you wanted. With that said, with whitetails, we try to tell guys don't shoot nothing less than a 150. You shouldn't have to kill anything less than a 150. Let's go for those good mature bucks. So we're trying to do the 150 and up, and we probably average in around the 160s.
Now, have you ever called or rattled to these bucks?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Calling, rattling. Obviously, it's got to be the right time of year, right situation. And try not to actually do it a lot, because with a client, I don't know every client's abilities. And if they're in a blind, especially if I've got them in a blind on their own, I'd rather have them sit there quietly and just wait rather than calling them. But there's always a time and place definitely for that. And when you get those really tough bucks, sometimes we'll pull out the scents, and we'll do drags and even decoys if we have to. We don't use decoys up in Canada, not nearly as much as we see the fellow hunters in the south do, but there's a time and place for it, and it works. So
yeah, it all works. It all works in the right time and place. I think every single listener would say that. One day they're just hotter than firecrackers on their decoy. The next 3 days, it's like, what happened? Where did deer go? And that's right. The nice part about whitetail. It's really hard to figure them out. Some guys do, and they do extremely well. My friend Garrett Rowe with Heads Up Decoy, if you haven't tried his, they're really neat because you can move in on deer, and with his decoy, on your bow or on your rifle, and they work. He's had some interesting hunts because he'll get right up on a buck that's got a doe locked down, and then he'll grunt or something, and they'll just come unglued.
Yeah, and I'd rather be lucky than good any day of the week. I can't tell you how many times you're hunting a specific buck. You're going after him. You can see him there. He's a 167. You've seen him all day long. You know that he's there. And a 190 runs in, or a 180. You just never know. And that's the exciting part of hunting. You just never know what's going to show up all of a sudden, especially in whitetail hunting. I find that with whitetail more than almost any other animal. It's, you never know. Well, I guess bear hunting is kind of the same situation too, but with those whitetails, you just never know what's going to show up. Those whitetails are traveling, during that right time of year. They're on rut, they're ripping. They cover a lot of distance, and you just never know what's going to show up. It's a very exciting time of year.
So we're at the end of this segment. I'd sure like to have you back. I'll wait to get some feedback from my listeners. Listeners, if you like this, give me a shout at whitetailrendezvous@gmail.com, and we'll get Jason back because, I've enjoyed the heck out of hunting North America, and I'd sure like you guys and you gals to at least have a couple of hunts north of the border, because the people are great, the food's great, the beer's great, and the hunting's just fantastic. In my situation, the hunting's been fantastic. So with that, Jason, thank you so much for being a guest on Whitetail Rendezvous.
Thank you very much, Bruce, for having me. I appreciate it. A lot of fun, and look forward to hopefully doing it again.
I look forward to it also. Hey, folks, we're heading out to Ohio, and we're going to meet with a very special man because he hunts Boone and Crockett mature whitetails on 5 acres. That's right. Ohio's got some nice deer. No guessing around that. But the way Mike sets it up, you'd be very surprised what comes off his farm. So Mike Swatchentruber is going to be our guest today, and he's going to share some micro secrets about hunting big bucks that you can see off his deck.
Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.